In this video, we are going to start the fourth property of isms, that is the property of i'rab or status. And so far we have covered three properties: gender, number, and type. So let's do a quick review of all three properties done so far. Okay, so I think let's go over through these three isms here, and we'll try to give the three properties for each of the isms. So first one is khalbun. Khalbun means heart, sayyaratun car, and mudarrisun teacher. So what is the first property? What is the gender of this ism here? I don't see any ta marbuta, so this is going to be masculine gender. Here sayyaratun, I see ta marbuta, so it is feminine gender. Mudarrisun. So what is the gender of this ism? This belongs to human beings. So again, I don't see any ta marbuta, so this is a masculine ism. So this is the first property. How about the number? We know, and for number we have to build our vocabulary, and with my vocabulary, by knowing my vocabulary, I know that these three isms are singular here. Okay. Now how about if we bring in the plural forms here? Khulubun, sayyaratun, and mudarrisuna. So let's go ahead and find the two properties for these isms here. So what is the gender again here? So the gender remains same, but the treatment changes. When the isms, when they change to plurals, we have to treat them depending on whether they are human or non-human, akhil or ghair akhil. It is very important aspect. Whenever we look at plurals, we have to first find whether they are living things or non-living things. If they are living, if they are human plurals, we have to treat them in the plural way. Like each and every word which we use in relation to human plurals will be plural as well. But when the non-living things become plural, they are treated, that is, the treatment becomes feminine. For example, here, what will be the treatment here? That means the gender here. Treatment of the gender will be feminine. Sayyaratun, again this is non-living thing, so the treatment is feminine. Mudarrisuna. So what is the treatment of this ism here? So first determine if whether it is human or non-human plural. Here also, first we have to determine whether these two isms are human or non-human. These are non-humans, and that is the reason they are treated as feminine singular. Now this is human, mudarrisuna. Teachers can't be animals or non-living things. Teachers are human. So this is masculine because I know waw nun is for masculine plurals. So this is masculine. So the gender is masculine and number is plural, and the treatment is plural as well. Okay, so that was the second property there. Coming to type, we have to find whether these isms are common or proper. Common means indefinite, proper means definite. So common means in Arabic nakira and proper marifa. So all of these are nakira because I see tanween in all of them. Okay. So the fourth property here, the property of status. So what is i'rab? So i'rab is the role played by a noun in a sentence. So when we find i'rab, when we figure out the i'rab of a word, that i'rab is going to help us know the function played by that ism in a sentence. And how to know the i'rab? That is, we have to examine the ending of a word. Now here I have written just the vowel ending, but we know the ending of a word can have vowel signs or it can also have combinations, sound combinations. Okay. So by looking at the ending signs or ending combinations, we can determine the i'rab of a word. And how many kinds of ending signs an ism can have in Arabic? We know that an ism can have three types of ending. So we can have three types of i'rab because we know there are three kinds of ending. that an ism can take in an Arabic sentence. So these three endings are, if the ism ends with this sign, damma or dammatain, then the i'rab is rough. If the ism is taking this sign, fatha or fathatain, the i'rab is nazb. And if it is this thing here, kasra or kasratain, then the i'rab is jar. So I will come in a moment to the combinations, letter combinations in a moment here. Here just recognize the signs first. So if we see this sign, the i'rab is rough. So I want you to memorize this. Depending on the signs and combination, these signs, the i'rab is rough, nasb and jar. Okay. Now there is one more term closely related to i'rab here, and that is marfu. I mean, the ism is called marfu, mansub or majroor depending on the i'rab. So basically, I mean, these two terms are closely related. I don't want you to get confused in them. When I ask you what is the i'rab when looking at the ending of a word, then to answer the i'rab you have to use these words. The i'rab is rough. The i'rab is nasb. The i'rab is jar. If I ask you what is i'rab, you are gonna reply using these terms here. But if I ask you what is the ism called, it is marfu, mansub and majroor. Okay. Okay, little bit of detail I want to give you here. See, if you notice here, rough, what are the base letters here? Ra, fa, ain. And can you find ra, fa and ain here? Look, ra, fa and ain. So these terms are closely related. It is just a term to describe i'rab, and this is the term used to call the ism. Ism is marfu, the i'rab is raf. When the ism is mansub, the i'rab is nasb. The ism is majroor, the i'rab is jar. Okay. So hope I didn't confuse you. I just want to highlight you that these two terminologies are closely related, and you have to now we know that there are three kinds of i'rab, and by knowing this i'rab we know the function of the noun in a sentence. So how do we know that? So there are three rules. The doer of an action or the subject in a sentence will be in rough state. So whenever we make a sentence, whenever we write a sentence, and if we have to place a subject of a sentence or the doer of an action, we have to place that word with this ending, damma. In a moment, we'll go over through some examples. First, note the rules here, and the details of the verb and zarf will be in nasb state. So the detail, whenever there is a verb in a sentence, so verb will take, in English, we know that if there is an action, there is a actor doing that action, and there is an object, direct object, indirect object, and verbs and adverbs and so many other things. So all of those rest of the things that come after the verb and not after the verb, but once we determine the verb and once we determine the subject, the rest all the words will be detail of that action. So those details will be in nasb state. That is, those isms are going to take this sign. And jar state occurs in only two cases. One is after the prepositions like of and upon or above or like that. The isms that are going to come after prepositions, and isms in possessive relation. Now don't worry if this seems very confusing to you, because this is just a broader picture I'm trying to give. We are going to come back to this part and we are going to study in more detail. Okay. So first see if we can find out the i'rab of some of the isms, then we'll come over to this part here. So let's figure out the i'rab of isms. Okay, so here is how you can determine the i'rab. First is ending sounds. If you see u or un, that is damma or dammatain, then you can write r besides those ism. R means a rough status. And if you see a or an, fatha or fathatain, then n, and I or in, single kasra or kasratain, then j. And if you have ending combinations, if you have sound plurals, now this kind of ending sounds you can have in singular isms as well as broken plurals. Remember, broken plurals take the same kind of ending as singular isms, like they can take dammatain, fathatain or kasratain. So these signs are for singular and broken plurals. But when it comes to sound plurals, we have these ending combinations here. So in the previous video we had this feminine plurals atun, and now here is the expanded form here. Atun, Muslima, Atun stands for plural. You got to write plural, feminine, rough. Okay. Atin, likewise, Matin, plural, feminine, nasb. Same thing, plural, feminine. This should be jar. Okay. Both of them are same for both the form, both the states. Okay, in masculine, una, like una is for plural raf, ina is for plural nasb, again ina is for plural nasb. So I highly recommend you that you write down uh, these things here and try to memorize, because we are gonna go over through isms and we are gonna figure out the i'rab of the isms. Okay, and to go over these topics later on. Okay, let's determine the i'rab, the status of these words here. Khalbun. Okay, for what is the i'rab of this word? Khalbun. I see dammatin, so the i'rab is r, rough. Nafsin, I see ending sign, so it is J, majroor, jar state. Okay, muflihuna, okay, I see combination here. What kind of combination do I see? Una, wow, noon. So what is my status here? Rough. Una is for rough. Now muttakhina, ina. So this is, it can be rough, it can be nasb or jar. So for your practice you can write n/j, it can be nasb or jar. Right now we are just learning how to identify them. Okay, so I will leave you with this. Try to work out, try giving the status of this essence, and then we'll go to the next part of the i'rab. Okay, so